Okay, so today I'm going to tell you why I think running ads is the most effective way to run a business and grow and scale a business. And I want to tell you my personal experience on how it has been. So for me, I've been noticing that there's a lot of ways to grow, a business. So there's, running ads. That's kind of the first one, or no particular order, but is running ads. Then there's also cold outreach, the cold outbound systems, reaching out to people who do not know you. And then there's the third one, which is reaching out to people who do know you, basically your social circle and the people who watch your content. So those are the four ways that I've seen, most important that people use to grow their business. And so what I've seen is that content is really much or very much a lot about luck, and you have to really have a video that is very, that blows up, or have years of consistency in the game to, grow your audience, and then based on that audience, almost like monetize that audience, and of course get to create a product, or if you have a product already, then start to like push that product. But you really need some luck, and there's not a lot of, I guess you can actually say that you can control it, but not as much as you think. It's really depending on the algorithm, and it's not something like cold outreach that you can just have an offer, reach out to someone who knows you or who doesn't know you, and then that person can be interested in that. So with content, that is just not the case. Then for cold outreach and the cold outbound systems overall, they are, I'm a big fan of them, very very big fan of them, because you don't need any audience, you don't need to be a huge expert. You just have to have an offer that resonates with people. You don't have to have a personal brand for doing this. You just have to have a personal brand that allows you to, you just have to have an offer, like a product, a video, or some sort of loom, some sort of script, essentially an offer that will sell people on it, right? And then just reaching out to that person. That can either be through email, through LinkedIn, through Instagram, through Facebook, through in real life, just going to a mastermind or something like that, and like just creating some relationships with people. So that is the other one. I'm a big fan of that. However, I do know that it is really, it's really depending on your work, not necessarily as a business owner, but as the business owner, you need to have, either do it yourself or have people that do it in your behalf. So, for example, I am doing that for the guy that I'm working for. So I'm doing cold outreach for that, or for him, like in his behalf. So I'm basically saying, hey, I am Diego, I'm part of the Rats team, but there's a part of like, there's someone needs to be doing that, unless you want to do completely cold, which realistically I don't think a lot of people will actually even be able to, not being able to, but even being willing to reply to it, because it's just sometimes it's just so lazy, and it just feels off completely right out the gate. So at least if you want to do some outreach, just don't make a copy and paste. Really, put some effort, and at least record a loom video or a selfie video, something like that, or at least personalize the text part of the video, like something that, so it doesn't sound or seem like it's just copy and paste. Okay, for that, again, it can be really really effective, extremely effective, extremely profitable, because you're not, depending on the ad budget or on any other circumstance, so you have full control of that. But the thing is that you need the manual effort. You need people that actually, do that for you on your behalf. And of course, it requires that people do that work for you as well, or at least you or your team members, or whoever it is in your business. But someone does that, right? And that's kind of the limit for that. And not even talking about how hard it is to actually get a system that is profitable, because in my opinion that is the hardest part, without a doubt, is actually having a system that for a fact works like clockwork. Okay, because you can send 100 DMs or 100 emails, but if you don't even know if they work, that's just not cold outreach in the right way. So all of the way, all of the process to learning how to get to this system that actually works for you, for me it's really really hard. And it's just a journey that takes you anywhere from 2 to 3 months for a new business, for a new offer, and just constant, crafting, constant iteration. And just because of that process, I feel like it's, you know not the best thing. I mean, I guess you can get a client without going like professional, but if you want to do it professional and really want to have something that competes with ads or that competes with content, then you have to do it like the right way. So that's also the second one. For me, as I said, I'm a big fan of it, but I understand that it requires a lot of iteration, a lot of effort, a lot of manual people doing it. So that's the second. The third one, which is or I suppose the last one, running ads, is, and I'm gonna leave it at the end because I'm gonna contrast that with other ways that you can get the client. So for example, with ads, this is a repeatable process. It's a skill that you can learn. You're not depending on luck. You're not depending on the algorithm to show your stuff to the right people. Like, you're paying exactly to the people that you wanted to be seen, basically. So it's really really controllable. You're in full control of it, and the return on investment that you get from it, it's extremely clear. So for a fact that for every $200 that you put on ads, you're gonna get, I don't know, maybe $1,000, or maybe in its peak, maybe $10,000 for every $200 that you put. And so it is really really just so easy to understand there. You get the return on investments completely. Now, to contrast that with creating content, running ads doesn't need you, or you don't need to be posting for ages. Like, you can literally, if you have the right systems, or if you know how to do it right, you can get within 24 hours a new client. It's just completely doable, just like with cold outreach. But it's very unlikely that you do that with content. Very very unlikely. So that's another thing. With ads, it's really really fast. The result that you can get from it, you don't require to be there 2 months, 3 months, maybe even 6 months in order to actually have a decent result from creating the content, as opposed to the ads, right? The other thing I've noticed is that with ads, it is way, from an effort standpoint in the business, it is much more lower. You don't need so much effort, people that work in the business, for you to actually have something that is predictable. Because you think about it, with content, you have you need a video editor, you need thumbnail designer, you need your time to script the video, or maybe someone that does the scripting for you. But ultimately you need to record a video, and all that process requires not only time, but also people that does that for you. And of course that involves some money that you put. So for that reason, when you run ads, it is really much like just touching a screen, just clicking buttons and making profit from that. So it's really really not depending on other people's wages, like way like extremely low in effort, manual effort, right, and time concerns as well. It's just really the beauty of technology. And then the last thing I want to say about ads is that it is a skill that is going to help you in any other business venture that you do, because it is going to allow you to, God forbid, if your current business fails for, a worldwide pandemic or some sort of catastrophic event, you're always going to have the ability to know the metrics from ads, because ads is the concept. You can do meta ads, you can do YouTube ads, you can do Facebook ads. That's meta ads, but you can do all sorts of ads. But if you know the metrics and you know how they run, you don't really need luck, and it's a skill that you can develop right now, and it's going to help you with any other business venture. Whenever you need some ads or some clients in demand, you're going to be able to get it, no problem. And I think that's a skill that a lot of people lack, and definitely a lot of people should be just working on getting more proficient on. So once you do achieve that goal of like actually, you know, being an expert in ads, or at least, you know, being decent at ads in any business that you start, or maybe even a family member starts a business, you can just tell them how to run some ads, and just get moving, get sales in as soon as possible, right? So for me personally, it's something I'm not doing currently. I understand that it's so good. I guess the only downside of it, and the reason why I'm not doing it currently, is because you do require some time to learn the skill. Maybe watch a course or buy a course, and actually you using your own money to run the ads and get better at it. Or maybe you can work within a company and like almost like try to use their money to like for you to learn or whatever. But it requires you to learn, and also it requires the budget, which it's almost like around, from what I learned, it's around $20 a day for getting very good results. So that's kind of the downside of it. But once you got that on points, definitely for myself, I'm gonna do it. And I just know that I'm gonna be investing much more of my budget for the business into ads, no questions asked, completely. And then the remaining, building content as a long-term game, and the outreach as a just another way, another layer of security for if ads stop working or whatever. You still have the cold outreach there, the cold outbound systems there that will secure you even more leads, especially if you have a proven system. That's just way better. So yeah, that's everything I want to say. Bye.